Hey, welcome to week 3 of Terrifying Enlightenment. Mark Malumbi here. Christo,
Hello.
Sharon, Sean.
Hi.
Hello.
Introduce yourselves again, guys. Tell the world who you are.
I'm Sean. I'm doing philosophy at UCD. I'm friends with Mark. He's in my philosophy of religion class.
Oh, I have a friend.
I have a friend. And I guess, so this is called Terrifying Enlightenment, and my connection to that is, I suppose, that I meditate, and that's about it, really. Sharon.
So I'm Sharon. I am a physiotherapist by day and Mark's girlfriend by night.
It's your alter ego.
Whoops, sorry. I mean, I'm Mark's girlfriend all the time. Yeah, so being with Mark, I don't necessarily have a choice but to be interested in this stuff, but luckily I already was anyway. And it's just great to be coming along for the ride with all of his knowledge on Terrifying Enlightenment.
I'm Christo so I'm just looking forward to speaking with you guys. I'm just a existentially curious guy, let's just say that.
Alright, guys. I'm Mark Malumbi, studying UCD. Old, mature student trying to pretend he's not old on campus, but failing with my little grey beard here. So I'm just going to ask you guys about your week. Anything exciting? Any revelations? Any just nice moments? Open up, guys.
Guys,
Tell
do
me
you have
your
anything?
life.
Not really.
Sean, you've been practicing meditation for a while. Just tell us what you do. Not necessarily any big enlightening, but do you have a routine that you follow, or do you just do it when you feel like it?
I try and do it about every day for at least an hour now, which is, I suppose, it's a big enough commitment.
That's a serious commitment.
Compared to some people, it's actually not, but it's like if I have the time, like I'll spend an hour. So basically I just sit there and just be with whatever's happening. It's that simple.
Is there music? Is there
No.
And is there a view? Or are you
No.
just staring at the wall?
There's a blank wall. I'm like sitting in front of a wall with my eyes open.
And have you got to a level of proficiency where you feel like you're not stressing out or annoyed or?
No.
Okay.
It's gotten better, but stuff still comes up. Like you want to move, you feel uncomfortable a lot, and you want to move, but I haven't sort of mastered, being okay with that yet. So
Well, I'm seriously impressed. An hour a day is a serious, not a serious commitment, but I mean it is a serious commitment, but it's that's not a basic or early level kind of effort. That's, I want to get good at this and I'm going to put in the effort. So
I guess that sort of says that I really want to get somewhere. I really want to, I don't know, attain something, which probably isn't.
No.
You're not supposed to you're not supposed to want to attain
No.
anything.
The goal is the problem, yeah.
But like, there's this guy I know, and he says that he feels compelled to sit, and I think that's a very good sort of thing. And so I can just say, I just feel compelled. I don't really have any goal in mind, really, but I know it's helping me. So
Yeah.
I'm not, that's probably the reason why I keep doing it.
The goal to feel better, the goal to be better, in some sense.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Personal development. It's
Yeah.
all good. I think that's the best way to improve the world. Improve yourself, and you'll improve the world. Set the right example, and then you create more comfort in other people by you having that comfort and confidence in yourself.
Yeah, and stop destroying people and the world. That's, if you, because I used to be very, still am a little bit, but used to be very neurotic, very negative, and it probably didn't help anyone around me. So if you change yourself, then you stop you stop your own suffering, and you stop the suffering of the people that are around you that have to put up with it. So
Exactly. How I like to visualize it is, imagine reality is a web, if you will. So I call it the cosmic web, right? And each string, let's say, in the web is you or me or Sharon or Mark. And whatever way that you are sends off. So imagine, when you pluck like a string on a harp or on a guitar, it vibrates. So essentially your personality or the energy that you give off is your vibration. And so when you're like neurotic or you're negative, you're pushing away people, but you're not only pushing people away, but they are absorbing that,
Sorry, everybody.
you know.
It's like playing those, you know, when you get to a piano and you just go to the deepest notes and you go boom, boom.
Yeah.
Boom. It's
I
like
love
that's
those
what you're
notes.
Exactly, right? and then when you switch and you learn to reprogram that string, and then you start attracting people to you. You start creating your own network in a section of the cosmic web, where it's just filled with amazing coincidences and serendipitous moments and stuff like that. At least that's what I've experienced myself.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to recognize some of that stuff. Maybe you know, you create your own world, or if you put yourself out there, then things will happen, and
Mm-hmm.
I think that's true.
Yeah, I think there's a case for it being co-creative.
Being
Co-creative.
co-creative.
Now, this can be argued, and Mark and I have had this discussion outside of here. But I think there's a case for, imagine if reality is a simulation. Let's say there's a code that, you know, that we all perceive. For example, we all perceive this table here and these microphones, and we have this general understanding of the reality around us, and we all have a shared perception of things around us, and we can't change that. There are laws of physics. That's why we have science, that we have studied them. But then I think there's a small part of it where our belief systems and what we tell ourselves and we tell other people have an effect on this reality as well. So in that sense, I think it's a co-creative simulation. Because if you take into account all of the people that have done whatever they've done in this life, great things, you know, famous people that have written, they've all said, I'm going to do this. This is my mission. And then they've done that, and then they've set off waves that have changed other people's lives, and they've created, and you know, in their own way, a section of reality, right? Of course, they don't change the fact that trees are still there. You can't just think the trees away, because that's part of the general code, you know? So that's where I see it's co-creative, but that could be a trick as well, the fact that I think that it's co-creative, possibly. And maybe that's just part of the deeper code to make me think that I'm in control.
That's the problem with spirituality, is you
Yeah.
just get into rabbit holes or abstract thinking in general. You know?
But I still think that it's beneficial to think, even if it isn't, to think that it is co-creative, to give yourself a sense of power, or a sense of control, but also understanding that you don't have control. If you can balance that, I know it sounds maybe nonsensical.
No, I understand it, and I think Sharon was coming across this over the last few weeks, is that your ego doesn't have control, and your thoughts, when you're trying to change the external world and how you feel about the external world by mental processes, and you find that nothing happens, you're like, I don't want things to be this way, so I'm going to get really angry inside, and nothing is changing, which is making me even angrier. And then eventually, hopefully over time, and maybe when you're sitting meditating and you're staring at a wall and the thoughts are coming up and you're like, I'm trying to get somewhere as a goal in mind. And from some of the speakers that I've listened to, I've been really getting into this Ajashanti guy recently. He says the whole idea of a spiritual practice is to get you so frustrated and your mind so confused and to the point where you realize that there is no way out of it. You can't think your way out of it. You can't not think your way out of it, because you're still trying to use a strategy by trying to not think your way out of it. You can't do anything. So you almost have to just give up without giving up as a strategy. You almost have to just literally give up out of exhaustion, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it's happening now.
He calls it exhausting the seeker.
Yeah, exhausting the seeker. Yeah, exactly. So once the seeker is gone,
they can't
then
find
what
they're looking for ever.
It gets rid of the person who's looking, and it's just the process. So there's not me who's experiencing, there's the experience itself. Sharon has been getting into meditating herself, but she's only starting the process. She's been, what, a few months now?
Yeah, but it's been a few broken months, unfortunately, through stresses. But yeah, I've been trying.
How have you found the early stages of it? Did you find that you didn't really know what you were doing at first? Because that's how I felt. Yeah,
I think a lot of people might feel that that's how meditation is. Oh, I can't stop thinking. I can't stop thinking. It's not going to work. I can't stop it. I'm sitting there and I just keep thinking. But that's the whole idea, is to, if you are thinking, to just allow those thoughts to pass. And I think that helped me a lot, because we went to a meditation festival in June, was it?
Yeah.
And it was free. It was in Dublin with dublinmeditation.com, I think.
I don't remember, to be honest.
Yeah. And it was really good. And it was like a week long of workshops every evening. And they gave you those tips. And I just kind of started doing that with a breathing app. Actually, I started not using the breathing app today, and just trying to do it without. But I do feel I'm not too bad at it. Not too bad.
There's moments.
I'm very good at now just recognising the thought and letting it pass, and not actually going deeper with it.
Yeah.
And I do feel much better afterwards. I tend to do it in the morning because I like to start my day
Same here.
that way. And even after, let's say if it's only 10 minutes, I will find I'm getting up and I'm getting ready around the house, but there's just this slowness about me. Sometimes I may be late but to work, but I'm just not panicked, I'm not rushing, I'm not frantic going around the house. I'm just relaxing, and I look at the clock and go, oh. And still then I don't panic. So yeah, it's a good way to start my day, but it is short. So at the moment it's not an hour like Sean.
Yeah, still something.
Yeah.
What about you, Christo? Do you like just flat out meditate from time to time? Is there a schedule or?
Yeah, I used to do it very frequently, and then I had a period where I stopped doing it, and I was doing it more infrequently. But in the last 2 weeks, I've been doing it every day, and I actually do it late at night, and I'll try and transfer into like a lucid dream from the meditative state.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
A while back I was doing it, and it sets me to sleep straight out. Like, it's so good at putting me to sleep. If I'm tired, I will just go, and it is amazing sleeping, and I do get more lucid dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
As a result. So maybe I'll do it at night too again.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know you could get lucid dreams.
Yeah, I mean, I used to practice lucid dreaming anyway when I was younger, when I was about 20, 21. Because after that near-death experience, I started, being more curious about what happened there.
Yeah.
So then I found about lucid dreaming and stuff like that, and I had similar experiences to that near-death experience from lucid dreams, like the same experience of light and stuff.
Okay.
And then obviously some mad lucid dreams where you're flying around and stuff like that.
Cool.
So they're really fun, man. I like to ask questions in lucid dreams.
Do you get any good answers?
Yeah. I'll wake up maybe with some sort of sentence, and I'll write it down.
Cool.
I have one sentence here. I have it down here. Hold on, let me find it for you. So, make your life's work a planetary pursuit. That's what I got from my last one.
That's Jordan Peterson, bang out of it. Yeah. So I mean, I know you didn't take it from him. That's
no,
what
I didn't
I'm saying,
take it from him.
But that's what he says. You said the ultimate goal is that you want to find something that's good for you, not just now, but in the present. Sorry, not just now, but in the extended future.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing has to also be good for your family.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing has to also be good for your community,
Mm-hmm.
and same thing has also to be good for the world and all of the inhabitants of the world.
Yeah.
As far forward you can. And if your goal meets all those criteria, you've got a goal that you can be really
Did
proud
he say
of.
that line exactly?
Something like that, along those
Okay,
lines.
okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he said that.
Great minds.
Yeah, maybe it was my subconscious.
Maybe you've read it and it was sitting there in the subconscious. And
My
it
subconscious,
just came out as a
Maybe,
really important thing to you at that
That's
moment.
actually likely. And then if he said it, then he probably got it from someone else in his subconscious as well.
Einstein said that if he hadn't have published his work, that somebody else would have discovered what he discovered really quickly.
Yeah.
Because from his point of view, because Einstein was really spiritual, people don't realise it, but
Yeah, he was a
for
deist.
like one of the biggest scientists going. But he believed in this collective unconscious, and then once one person learns something and learns it like to a high level, subconsciously the world knows it, and that it's only a matter of time before it comes out. And they've done tests again. These are the kind of studies that you hear about, don't research, and then everyone talks about it, and then eventually someone just does a bit of research and goes, that's actually stupid. But it's that once, I think it was a chimpanzee learns a specific activity in one country, let's say Africa, maybe, I don't know, let's pick a country after Uganda or something, then chimpanzee in America pretty much within a short period of time will develop that skill also. Now, again, as I said, that is a study
They're
that I
watching
did.
YouTube.
Sorry?
They're watching each other on YouTube.
Let's go have the Skype call. Billy!
What did you learn today?
So The next thing I want to talk about was that we kind of have a few different levels of psychonauts in here. So there's astronauts who go out into outer space, and there's psychonauts who go into inner space. Yeah. And every week we're going to have to give a little disclaimer. Again, we're just talking about our own personal experiences. We're not advocating the use of illegal substances, and there's huge risks whenever you do, because you don't know what you're getting, you don't know how it's going to affect you, you don't know about your latent potential for mental disorders, and any of these substances can bring them about. So if you do decide to go and do anything that we're talking about, just be aware that it's not a cake ride. Even for us, we've all had bad experiences. I had a nervous breakdown, PTSD, serious crisis that made me quit jobs, leave countries, and rebuild my life. Now, it was the best thing that ever happened to me long term, but in the moment I definitely wasn't very happy. So just be very aware when we're talking about any psychedelic substances or anything illegal in general, that you should take it all with a pinch of salt. It's not all roses and sunshine. But we are going to speak about what we've been through, otherwise we'd be lying.
And it could be all roses and sunshine if they legalised it and regulated it. So
So what I was going to say is, because we have 3 levels of psychonauts here, we have Christo and I, who are quite experienced with taking, not personally, I haven't taken a wide variety of substances. I've had 1 LSD trip, I've had multiple mushroom trips, and maybe 2 MDMA experiences.
okay.
Sharon, I had to, because she's my girlfriend now, almost 2 years, she can't be around me if she's not willing to listen to me talk about transcendence, enlightenment, the bigger picture, just philosophy non-stop. I send her videos every day. She's either going to get sick of me and kick me to the curb, or she's going to come along with me. So Sharon now has had a few experiences, and I'm going to ask her about them shortly. And then we have Sean here, who is very interested, but is also...
He's not sure.
Not sure, and also quite tentative as to the long-term issues that may occur. And like everybody should, you should be very critical of what some randomers with no education are talking about. So I'm going to put it on to you, Sharon. So what was it like having someone very anti-drugs your whole life? Yes. I'll let you take it over.
Yeah, I was. So I'm turning 30 very soon, and up until probably the last 5 months, 6 months, I was very anti-drugs. I just saw them in the most negative light possible. I was surrounded by it from where I grew up. I was surrounded by bad things resulting from drugs, like violence and traumas and just misuse. So I had...
You lumped them all to one category.
Yeah, I had a preconceived idea of what they were about, and I was, I suppose, terrified. Like, my dad terrified me about them, to the point where I thought, oh, if you take a drug, you'll die. You know, and I had this idea about them, and it was something that I swore I'd never be interested in. I swore I'd never even, you know, I wouldn't listen to anything about them, and people like, oh no, it's great, and this, that and the other, and I was very just ignorant towards them. But yeah, me and you were together a couple of years now, and you've been excellent.
A terrible influence.
No, it hasn't. I wouldn't say that at all. Like, I mean, you've come with so much new information to me, and you'll always back it up, because you know what I'm like. I'm very logical, research, show me this, show me that, proven. And Mark has just continually been telling me about these things and providing the research backing up psychedelic use.
She was so strict on me that, to the point where I would send her internet articles that were going into great deal. She's like, that is not a peer-reviewed study. Send me the scientific evidence.
I'm like, that's not a randomised control trial, Mark.
Exactly. Seriously.
Yeah. It's not in a recognised journal, Mark. So he started a...
No, that's good.
It's just because of my physiotherapy background, research, and I learned how to review articles, and I was like, no, I'm not accepting that. That's like, that's... Reddit or something. So Mark would then start finding articles and sending me these things, and I'm like, right, this stuff he's presenting me with now that I can see it, I actually couldn't deny what I was reading about the benefits and the potential benefits that would come if it was these substances, psychedelic substances, some in particular, were legalised. And it was over a long time, wasn't it, Mark? Like, I mean, he was having these experiences, and I was like, okay, yeah, cool, you do your thing.
And I don't think they should be just blanket legalised. I really don't.
No, not blanket.
I think they should be literally therapeutic use, and decriminalised. That you shouldn't be punished for taking them. Yeah. But legalised, maybe legalised like alcohol again, where you really need to have a lot of stringent protocols in place. But it definitely shouldn't be like
No, I don't agree with that either.
14-year-old Billy down the road wants to do a 20-gram dose, like.
It was really like the research that
Alcohol's not even like that, but they still do it.
The research that Mark was putting to me was all for therapeutic use, and that's therapist here, and that was the one that the research I was responding really well to. You know, I wouldn't be, if an article said just legalise it, it's great crack, I'd be like, no, don't. But yeah, it is really for the therapeutic use, and I couldn't deny all the stuff I was reading and the articles I was reading, and his own experiences. Obviously he was partaking in psychedelic use while we were together, and I was seeing changes in him, and just this vast knowledge was just coming out of him, like more and more and more and more, and I kind of couldn't deny any of that for very much longer, to be honest. But I did take it at my own time.
Yes, you did. And that's if you're comfortable talking about it. I'd like to quickly, you don't have to go into detail if you don't want to, but I'd love to talk about that first time you took it in Phoenix Park. Just whatever you'd like to say about it, short, long, whatever.
Okay, so the reason for taking it in the first place was there was underlying massive anxiety issues with me at the time due to health concerns. So Mark really felt that it would help me. Terrified, but again, I had been one of those where I was like, I'll take a bit on my baby finger 3 months prior, and then I'll take another little small bit, and then I'll take a small bit. So I took some psilocybin magic mushrooms that day, and I did not expect what happened whatsoever, and it was hands down the best experience of my life. Yeah, to date. I'm sure there's many wonderful experiences.
When you say best, what do you mean? Do you mean like profoundly?
Profound, the one that leaves a mark on your life. You'll never forget it. And I can never ignore it either. So I can't let that go. I can't just like, that was one time grand, I don't ever really need to do that again. It's like, ooh, what's next? What's going to happen the next time? Or, you know, it was just profound. Yeah.
And do you want to, obviously it is ineffable, not really, you can't really describe it. Do you want to give it a go at what you experienced? Or
I've always said to you, since the first time that day I felt, and it's even letting it down saying this, but it's like your head just expands with just knowledge and space and understanding and love, and you don't think anything anymore. Everything that you, even if you are thinking, you just feel everything. And you can't put that into words, what you're feeling. So, yeah, my mind blew up for 5 solid hours. And I had no awareness of my body whatsoever.
You just melted into the ground.
Melted. I was part of the ground. I was music. I was the song.
Yeah.
As Foy Vance says. No, it was, fantastic.
No, sorry, that song. Thank you so much for showing me that song. It's so good. I shared it with a few friends, and one of them came back with her own version on guitar, and I was like, oh my god, it's great that, you know, that chain of events led to that.
Yeah, he is really good. I
awesome.
love his voice.
He's awesome. I like his style.
He has a live album on Spotify recently.
Yeah, I listened to it.
Very
it's
good.
Really cool.
Just in case anyone missed it, we are talking about Foy Vance here, in case someone's going back, I need to rewind this now and figure it out.
Foy Vance.
Foy Vance.
Be the Song is a wonderful
It's
song.
from Northern Ireland.
Great stash.
So Christo, do you want to tell us about your entrance into this? How did you take it the first time? And sorry, Sean, we will get back to it's not all going to be psychedelic.
I think what Sean's doing is fantastic with the meditation.
Yeah, an hour a day, I feel like a loser.
No, I think Sean, do you want to start? You've had one experience, right?
I've had 3, but one the mushrooms. Well, it was actually truffles. It was in Amsterdam.
Yeah, same thing.
Amsterdam truffles, low dose, so it wasn't like a profound, life-changing thing, but it was, you know, a beautiful experience.
Yeah.
I thought I got some sort of insight, but I didn't act on it, to my maybe shame. I don't know.
Oh, that's
but
okay.
It didn't shatter the earth for me. You know, it didn't really change too much in my life, but it was a lovely experience. And then recently, I took MDMA for the first time, and that was more of a profound experience, I think, and I think maybe that shifted something in me. And then the second time, it didn't really do as much, but that's probably
was it
that's
close
what happens.
to the first time?
A month later, so maybe I don't know. But
And when you said that you had a more profound experience, was it just that you were able to step out of your usual way of seeing the world?
yes, I was able to sort of have like be in the presence of somebody and not be a neurotic fool,
Yes.
and to have the negative thoughts like shut off for the first time ever, which was, you know, it's lovely. So I was like, okay, this is how it could be, maybe. So it maybe shifted something in my head. I sat there trying to analyze the experience rather than, you know, just
having it.
yeah. But I felt that was helpful to sort of understand what I usually do in the situation, the things that I do wrong in the situation. I was able to see those more objectively, and maybe that helped me afterwards somehow. But my meditation practice got a lot deeper a month later, and I'm not sure whether to attribute that to that experience or not, or if there was a change in me, and then that's what changed the meditation.
My experience is similar to yours in that I had taken ayahuasca in Australia and felt like I had been attacked by a demon. Again, I know how silly that sounds in case anyone has just signed in here. And I felt like I had a heart attack. I went to the hospital to get checked out 3 times. The first time I went, they thought that I had a heart attack as well, and they told me to contact my next of kin because they said your heartbeat is completely irregular. Then they sent away for blood samples, and they came back clear. And so they said, okay, you're free to go. But that just put the idea in my head that I had a heart problem. So then I had psychosomatic symptoms then where I was getting pains down my arm. My heart rate was beating really fast. I would feel pains in my heart. Then I had like a total identity crisis. Like I'm like, whoa, who the hell am I? What is going on in the world? Nothing makes sense anymore. I had PTSD. I was getting flashbacks. I had audio hallucinations. And so on and so on and so on. I won't go too far into all of that, but the acute symptoms were only a few weeks. I felt like what it would be like for someone who is schizophrenic. And thank God I didn't go to a psychiatrist and get drugged up on studying all the effects of schizophrenia medication at the moment. Now, obviously, for anybody out there who knows anyone who's schizophrenic or has taken schizophrenic medication or anything else, there is short-term benefits and it can be very, very beneficial. Some of the research out there says that long-term exposure to the drugs that you're given when you take antipsychotic medication can cause a lot of problems. Anyway, long story short, eventually 2 years later, maybe a year later, 2 years later, I had MDMA for the first time. Exact same as you. Complete break from my psychosis, complete break from negative thinking, complete break from judging and being so concerned about how I was coming across and how people were perceiving me. And after that, I was fine. It's not like it was world changing from then on. It was just like I realized from that point on that this is all in my head. It's all in my head. My chest pains went away. My positivity increased. And it's not like I kept taking any of these substances. It was just enough to get a break from my usual way of seeing things. Yeah. Once I realized I could step out of myself, my ideas, and see the world totally differently, when I came back to normal consciousness, I was like, God, I'm an idiot. God, it's just not worth going through life like that, you know? Right, back to you. Sorry, man. I kind of sabotage your conversation there.
No, that's about it.
Probably a combination of your meditation and then, like, I reckon they helped each other.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely changed in the last since I started.
Your meditation's certainly doing something.
Yeah,
really positive for you.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I love the tone of your voice, Sean. You relax me.
Yeah, he's a lovely.
You actually do, like when I'm actually chatting to you, I feel nice and fucking chill and relaxed.
Yeah, no, it's so weird. Everyone says, "Oh, you're so chilled," and I'm like, on the inside, no, I'm like so anxious. so that's a bit strange. But the MDMA thing. No, I don't know the studies. I haven't read the proper studies. But what I hear is that it breaks the narrative that you maybe build up for yourself. You know, the negative narrative, what you think of yourself, like I think I'm this anxious, neurotic, this and that. And it sort of, it breaks that narrative and allows you to sort of maybe, I don't know, stop identifying with that negative caricature of yourself, maybe. I'm not sure.
No, you're spot on. And I think a lot of people, as Sharon heard, I sent her a video from existentially, said that when people have an identity crisis, what they generally do is they go shopping for a new identity. And said what you need to do is actually stay in that position where you don't know who you are and get comfortable not knowing who you are, and then sit there instead of creating new ideas that you can get attached to. And then that will fall apart again and again and again and again. And if you talk to any therapist, they will say the people who don't know themselves are completely lost and they're having a hard time. but they've been thrown into that situation. They've come to that because there's been a crisis in their life. Maybe they've gone through a marital breakdown. They're so identified with their husband or their wife, and now they're like, who am I if I'm not this person? And instead of completely facing their false ego, which is built around ideas, they try and find new things to attach it. And that's the process of psychotherapy in general. It's, you've got some bad ideas here. Cognitive behavioral therapy, we're going to bring you through different behaviors, different ways of seeing the world. The example they always use is your friend walked past, they had their head down, they didn't say hello to you even though you waved at them, and you thought they saw you. And that's, and so you're obsessing over this. Why didn't they say hello to me? What do they dislike me? I just can't understand. What, like, am I not a good person? Maybe they know that I'm an asshole. What's going on here? And the therapist will talk them through, and they'll say, oh, well, maybe they were busy in a rush. Maybe they didn't see you. Maybe they had headphones on and didn't hear you, and so on and so on. So they try to make you rationally see that the way you think about the world isn't the way the world is. But personally, I don't think that's a good way of doing it. I think that's an important way to show that that's the way you can approach it. You can see the world one way, you can see the world another way, or you can just stop with all your analysis and worry and stress and just take every moment as it comes. And when a bad moment comes, you let it go. When a good moment goes, you let it go. And you're in the moment, and I'm here talking on this. I had no idea what I was going to talk about here, but here I am talking about it, you know. Whereas if I listen to this later on tonight and I listen back and I go, God, I sounded like an idiot. What am I doing? I'm taken out of the present moment. I'm focusing on the past, and I'm being negative, and I'm creating a negative self-image instead of just being in that moment and going, hey, Sharon, let's watch some Netflix, you know? So
I guess the key is to catch yourself when you're creating that story that, oh, everybody thinks I'm this person, and I bet you they're all thinking this about me. You know, and then that keeps coming up, and you have to keep catching it and catching it and catching it. You're like, what are you doing? You know, what is my mind doing to me? You know, it's trying to destroy me.
But we do it to ourselves as well. They're like, I am. What do you say about yourself, Christo? How do you, if someone says, tell me about yourself, and you're trying to be as honest as you can, what would you say about yourself?
Oh my God.
That's a hard question.
I am life.
It's a difficult question, man. I can answer that so many different ways depending on my mood. I don't know how to answer that, man.
Yeah, it's a tough one, man. If someone said it to me, I'd be like, and I was trying to be as deep as I could, I'd be like, I can't answer that question, because anything I say will be a concept, and then someone will have to, like, even if I say consciousness, that still creates an idea.
So what's the question?
If someone had to ask you to describe yourself, and you're trying to be as honest and existential and universal as possible, what would you say?
So they're saying describe yourself, Christos, but
who are you? Deep down, Christo, who are you?
Bare your soul.
I would say that I am an ever-changing being, and I change who I am depending on what I'm focused on, depending on the time. But if we're thinking outside of that, outside of what I see, I'm just a part of this giant organism that we're all part of. No, that's how I would say, but it depends. The question could go into so many different estuaries of thought and, you know, adjectives, and, you know, so I don't know. That's how.
But basically, that's
We don't
what.
know.
But the thing is, no, he's you can point towards the truth. Everything he's saying there is pointing towards the truth. But also, everything he's saying is conceptual, because you can't help but be conceptual when you're using language. There's no other way out.
Indeed.
And therefore, anytime you say, I'm an ever-changing being, then someone has ideas about what he means by an ever-changing being, and you have an idea about it. And then no matter what you say, it's not going to be true. Not fully. It's not going to be reality.
Well, nothing is true in some sense, but it depends. Nothing is true on that kind of sense when you're describing yourself, and when it's perspective, when it's based on perspective. But what do we mean by true? We're gonna just go down another rabbit hole.
It's the whole language thing about even trying to describe your experiences when you use psychedelics. You're like, I can't. I can't, because I'll let it down if I use language.
You know what the biggest scam is? The biggest scam is the pursuit of happiness. That's the biggest scam. Biggest philosophical scam. It should be the happiness in pursuit. Just switch the words.
And happiness is pursuing you?
Instead of pursuing happiness, find happiness in the pursuit. And what that means is in the experience, in the journey. Stop, forget about the result. Because most of the time when people get the result of whatever they've been chasing, they realise, I'm not happy. It's the journey, it's all of the struggles. Personally, I value struggles highly. Here's another one. I was thinking about this yesterday. I think that comfort is in some sense a silent killer. And I think struggle is a building block in disguise. So when you see it like that, you can enjoy all of it. Because most of life is a struggle anyway.
Wise words, Christo. Yeah. I like that one.
Take it as it comes.
Happiness in the pursuit.
Yeah, I got that,
like
that from Robert Sapolsky.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Robert Sapolsky is a great neuroscientist, behavioral scientist.
I like that one.
But yeah.
Yeah, Eckhart Tolle's stuff.
Similar to that. I made a video even before I read anything to do with Robert Sapolsky, and I just spoke about finding happiness in the journey. It's because sometimes you see people chasing something, and I know what's going to happen.
A lot of the time, when the focus is so much on the end goal, you're missing the best parts.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of expectations.
And you're really unhappy in the middle, and then there's a high chance that you don't actually get to the goal anyway. So you're just miserable the whole time.
Actually, you sent a video earlier today to do with depression. And they speak about something like that. When you put all your eggs in one basket and all expectation in one goal, you're setting yourself up to fall.
Yeah, because you lose the one thing you value, and then
again, it's external. Yeah. It's like, I will only be happy if I am this. Whether it's a psychologist or a physiotherapist or a philosopher or a computer scientist or an author. It's like, I'm working towards that. When I get there, I'll be happy. But the problem is, when you're so future oriented all the time, that you don't realize that when you get there, you'll have like that much happiness. And then you'll be like, right, that obviously wasn't it. Something else in the future is going to make me happy. And
so you're shopping for your new identity again.
And this is what makes people so anxious, is that the deepest person will say, you have everything you need right now. Go and stare at a wall for half an hour. Sit down, cross your legs, don't move, and see if you can sit for 5 minutes or 1 minute or 30 seconds and not think, and allow yourself to sit there. People will sit there. Maybe they'll get to the point where they, okay, I can waste 30 seconds. Sit there, and they're like sitting there going, what am I doing later? They can't relax for 30 seconds. And everything is about developmental. It's never about, I'm just okay the way I am. So it's not tomorrow will be okay. And you're still right, that journey of pursuit can be like, I'm working towards this, but I'm focused on the step that I'm on right now.
Exactly, like enjoying where you are right now, always. Perpetually enjoying this moment. So for somebody that's studying, like yourself, psychology, you studied physiotherapy, you're studying philosophy, forget about the end result. Enjoy the learning. Enjoy learning today. Enjoy the struggle of not being able to finish that assignment today. And seeing it as a child.
Look, I totally agree there, because guess what, guys? I am a physio now, and I am not happy.
Sharon, would you like to tell us about your bad experience or your difficult trip, which is only a few days ago?
A small few days ago, once upon a time. Yeah, it was very bad. And I did not expect that either. Like, my God, the power behind these mushrooms is incredible.
You were so happy going into it too.
Yeah.
I was funny, because sometimes the other times you've been quite anxious and you're like, not today, I'm too anxious today, not today. And in my head I've kind of said it to you, son, they can help with your anxiety.
Yeah.
But when you were really happy, I was kind of like, let's see how this goes. And this happened to be the time you had a really difficult experience. Yeah,
well, I kind of knew it was coming anyway, because I have a massive background of anxiety and fear, health-related fear, health anxiety. Again, had a recent health scare, just didn't cope well with it whatsoever, like really coped very badly with it. My hip. Yeah, I was going to say, explain that you've got a fused SIJ. Yes, so I have a fusion in my lower back, in one of the joints in my pelvis. That just developed by itself? It just developed by itself when I was 16. It can develop for lots of other reasons, but it wasn't any of them. And it's very rare that it happens in that section of the spine. So
So the fusion is just where literally the bone grows together and becomes one bone.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can't move it the way a normal person can move it.
The purpose of that joint in particular is to absorb shock from the spine down through the legs. So it's not working very well in that point.
So you get a lot of pain and discomfort.
A lot of pain, yeah. Leg pain, discomfort. Can't do running, high impact stuff, yeah.
And that's kind of led you to, because that pain kind of comes and goes, gets worse, gets stronger. Now, even right now, even when I'm saying this, you're still unsure as to whether that's causing the pain or not. But over the last few months, you started to be more and more convinced that it was something bigger, something, an autoimmune disorder of some shape or form or something like that.
Also based on a brain scan.
Yes, exactly.
As well.
Yeah.
So something showed up on a brain scan and it just sent me into absolute turmoil, and then I had to start developing symptoms in relation to that thing that was on the brain scan. Possibly, more than likely, psychosomatic, still have those symptoms. So I was really in a place where I knew the mushrooms might help, but also I knew maybe the bad part was coming, but I didn't expect it. It was so dark, horrible, deathly, that part of me that I faced that day. It was just awful, and I really don't like what I've seen. And if that's the representation of me, that needs to change very, very quickly. Because the lessons I came out were, I'm not in control of any of it anyway. All the stuff that I've been doing, so trying to run away from it, trying to avoid it, trying to figure out what's going on with me, trying to figure out the symptoms, trying to rationalise this, assuming that, trying to not worry. I tried all of that during my journey, my trip. On Saturday, I literally deployed every defence mechanism I've had to try and change that trip into something wonderful. But in fact, it just got worse. So I was left defeated and just had to give up and let the journey happen with the mushrooms. And the lesson was, this is what you've been doing your whole life. These are all the defence mechanisms. This is what you're doing. You're running, you're trying, you're this, you're figuring out, you're anxious, you're this, that and the other. It didn't work for me on the trip. It didn't make anything better. I tried everything, absolutely everything during it. Didn't work. And it's just an accurate representation of my whole life. And it just showed me that I really don't have control over what is going to happen with my health. And trying to fight it, trying to figure it out, trying to resist it is making me worse. It's making me sicker. And it's making me miserable in the process and ruining my time now. So that was the overall lesson. But there was an abundance of lessons. There was probably 1 million
and they slipped
downloaded into my head. And I don't forget them. But it was so dark. It was very scary. I cried so much, I think I dehydrated myself. Honestly, and I had no choice.
I had to go to the bathroom for 30 seconds and Sharon was like, don't leave me.
And I called him back in because when he came back in, I'd literally curled up in a ball and I'd never cried as hard in my entire life, but that wasn't my choice. And that was it. I had no control.
And now here's an interesting question. You had a really amazing, beautiful, positive trip, right? And you had a really difficult one. How have you felt after the good one and how have you felt after the bad one?
The good one didn't cause any lasting changes. They made me think and see things a bit more rationally, but that's the whole problem. The bad one, weirdly enough, I feel energised. I feel weightless the last few days. I'm calmer. My symptoms are improving. I've just spoken now, so they're probably just going to automatically get worse again. But they are improving because I am just accepting. The thought comes in, I let it pass. I feel fantastic after Saturday. Yeah. I felt like I had a little bit more knowledge after the good one, but it was just so lovely. That good one to me, it was really nice. And it did show me some of my fears, of course, the ageing and all that, but it wasn't profound enough or traumatic enough for me to actually feel
very similar experience to my own, where the first night, again, the ayahuasca, the first night was probably the most beautiful experience of my life, and then the second night was the most horrifying experience of my life. But I wasn't ready for that, for either of the experiences. My way of seeing the world was so off that I couldn't process it properly. I couldn't relax. Even when the experience was over, I was analysing it in all the wrong ways, and it took me years to get over it. And that's why these things are not to be trifled with. I can see that Sean has burning questions for Sharon.
A thought came up, but you're only 3 days past this experience, but you guys are, years or whatever past your experiences. Do they, the good effects, do they stay with you? Do they last? Have they stayed with you, or do they leave you and then?
Well, for me, yes. I can't speak for everyone. because not everyone has the right chemical makeup for this. There is the minority percentage that psychedelics will never be good for, and that's a fact, you know. But the majority do have lasting effects.
I feel like they're teachers and they're giving us lessons, and I feel like every moment of every day you've got to do the right things in your life. You've got to eat well, you've got to exercise. You know, if you don't have that foundation of meditation, exercising, eating well, doing selfless things, not being egotistical, not ruminating in your thoughts, if you're not doing the basic things, you're going to have experiences, good experiences, bad experiences, beautiful experiences. But if you're not putting in that base level day-to-day stuff, you're just experiencing hunting, and maybe you'll continue and have nice positive and some negative trips now and again, but you're not going to get anywhere. So I feel like it's almost, the way I was explaining to Sharon the other day actually, was it's almost like a check-in. It's like, how far have you progressed? What can you handle? And it's like, okay, you've been exercising, you've been eating well, you've been really positive, you've been helping people, you haven't been egocentric, maybe you've even fasted or something like that, so you've cleansed your body somewhat. Check in with the mushrooms, they're like, good boy, well done.
Pet.
Or you've been lazy, thinking all the time about how life is shit and boring and how you're not getting anywhere, and you've been just shoving stuff you're intolerant to into your body. And you have the experience, and it's mixed, it's all over the place. You don't really feel like you're getting anywhere. You almost feel like a bit of a degenerate, you know. Let's take a heroin junkie. They have this amazing experience. Now, I've never taken heroin, but let's say their life is terrible usually, and they found that lots of people have heroin, except it's not called that, whenever they're in hospital for operations. Vietnam war veterans almost all of them were on heroin while they were in Vietnam. But when they came back from Vietnam, 99% of them stopped. And anyone who's been on some high level, what are they called? Opioids in hospital, they don't get addicted either. It's that they have a terrible life, so they escape from it. They're not trying to improve their life, they're not trying to fix things, they just want to get away. And then when they come back to that horrible life, maybe their same thought processes, and they just spiral out of control. The drugs do not help. They're going to either help you on your path, or they're going to help whatever your path is. If your path is to die in a gutter in your own puke, they're going to get you there quicker, you know. And if your path is to help the world and maybe try and come up with some new invention, or maybe legalize therapeutic psilocybin usage for people who have treatment-resistant depression, which is kind of where I'm coming at it from, maybe they'll help me to get where I'm going as well. But fundamentally, the basics have got to be there. I've
been very lucky in the sense that I've had Mark prepare me for the last 2 years and talk to me about this stuff repeatedly, and share all this knowledge. Because if that had happened to me Saturday and I had no prep, I would have lost the plot. I would have been running downstairs. I would have been panicking. I would not have been able to handle it as well as I did. So I think I've been very lucky in that sense. But another thing, just because Mark was talking about it on Saturday, that was very hard for me to take, was that we're not in control. Okay, I'm very much like control issues. I want to control my health. I can stay healthy. I can stop this happening to me. And that was really hard for me to accept, because I was like, no, actually, no, I can't control any of this. And whatever happens to us all health-wise and everything, it's gonna happen. We can only do our best. So then I came around afterwards and I was saying, why do we bother trying then? Why eat well? Why exercise? Why do anything? And then I said, because it's being able to do all of that, the right thing every day, in the face of knowing you've no control. I mean, that's absolute strength to be able to go, and, you know, because you can certainly, whether you've control or not, or how your life is going to end, you can certainly make the journey really, really nice. You can feel comfortable, you can be fit, you can be healthy, and you can feel well in yourself. And it's doing that in the face of knowing that you don't have the control anyway is really... And that was one of the big lessons that I learned as well on Saturday.
Sean, are you aware of the myth of Sisyphus?
Yes.
Tell Sharon of the myth of Sisyphus.
Is this Camus? Or is this just the myth in general?
The myth in general, but it is Camus, yeah.
It's basically the myth of the guy this guy's, I don't know what he does, but the gods basically condemn him to like push a massive boulder up a mountain,
I know.
and then it
I've seen this.
falls down again, and he has to like push it back up again, and that's his fate, like for eternity, is to continue to do this. But he's happy because why is he happy?
he accepts his fate.
He's like taking it one moment at a time. Is that what it is?
I don't know. I don't think he even gave a rationale. But I mean, here, this is.
He's like, this is it. I might as well just. I have no choice other than to just.
We have to imagine him happy.
Well, no, you can actually bring science into this. The guy is working out, so he's getting all these endorphins.
That was my thought. He's working out and he's massive arms.
Exactly. He's getting all these endorphins and he's feeling good. You know what I mean?
Massive arms,
it's all there, man.
Abs. Like, I mean, why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, you know.
And
he's you know, he's thinking of himself like, I'm accomplishing something. So he feels great.
But then it comes back down again. Like straight away.
Then it comes down and he's like, oh great, I can do that again now.
Oh yes, I also enjoyed that last time.
Quads for days, baby. Guys, we got 2 minutes left. I'll stick on a song unless we want to leave on any beautiful thoughts or quotes. So yeah, we should finish on a quote, I reckon. Let's someone make up one.
What you resist persists.
I like that. That's very good.
Hold on, I might have one
That's
written.
pretty good.
I know, I've been using it for my sentence.
Okay. That's too dark.
But in light of me having the dark journey.
Yeah, but
Okay,
this
right.
one's dark in a different way. I don't want to bring that up. I don't know.
Nothing comes to mind.
Well, I gave one.
You did. That's a good one. Yeah.
I'll try and think of.
Mark, you have lots.
Yeah, but you know when you're put in a spot to come
I
up with
know.
something. I like the idea of Alan Young. I'm mixing. Alan Watts was talking about Carl Jung. Jesus, and he said that Carl Jung realized that when somebody is going on an egoic path, the worst thing you can do almost is stop them from going down that path, because then they're always in that halfway zone. They're never fully in, they're never fully out. You should almost speed up their folly, push them into even more, because once you get to that end point, that breaking point, that's when the breakthrough occurs. And that's, in his opinion, that was the evolutionary reason for ego, was because it brings us to the point. If we're going down the wrong path, we've got anxiety and problems and our mind is all over the place, you just increase that. Keep going. You think that the world is flat? Let's keep walking west until we get back to the same spot, mate. Because the world is, you know. Time up, man. Give us that quote. Quick, go.
Okay, never run away from pain or stress. Tackle it head on with determination and a stubbornness to give up on the gift that is life. Don't waste this gift, you arrogant fool.
Well said, guys. Until next week, this has been another fantastic episode of Terrifying